President Biden canceled $1.2 billion of student loan debt on Wednesday. Is it a good thing, bad thing, nothing burger? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Joe Biden canceling $1.2 billion of student loan debt on Wednesday for 153,000 borrowers. Now, there's a lot we got to get into. We're going to show Joe Biden kind of gloating about the situation. We got to get into the details of who is eligible for the debt cancellation, how much debt must you have, the limit of debt, and the program you got to be enrolled in. We're going to get into all those things. But first, I got to address the elephant in the room. At least it's the elephant for me. Some are going to come to this video and gloat. Ha, you conservatives thought that Joe Biden couldn't do it. You thought he couldn't cancel student loan debt. Republicans can't get in his way. You can't block him. He is finally doing what he said he was going to do, or at least alluded to during the campaign, which is cancel student loan debt. Now, let's pause for a minute. You're talking about $1.2 billion with a B, $1.2 billion of student loan debt that he's canceling. The total student loan debt bubble, meaning the amount of debt that we have as a nation that's wrapped up in student loan debt, is 1.74 trillion, not billion, 1.74 trillion. Let's put it in layman's terms. Let's not use the trillion word. Let's just use the billion word. You're talking about 1,000 billion plus another $740 billion. To get to 1% of the student loan debt bubble, you're talking about $17 billion. So how much is 1.2 billion? Y'all tell me. I mean, I'll wait. I will really wait. And you know what? I got some documents I got to show. And I got to be a little bit fair to your man, Joe, because in total, since he came into office, he has canceled $138 billion of student loan debt. Okay. So the 1.2 is just another piece of the total pie of 138 billion. All right. Now, you're getting close to about 10% of the bubble. But see, there's a problem. Student loan debt is not static. It's always growing every single year because kids, adults, everybody's still going to college. They're still taking out student loan debt to do underwater basket weaving, random degrees you're not going to use. And sometimes, a lot of times, very useful degrees to get a good education, but there's still debt accumulating every single year. All right. Now, just how much debt? That is a great question. Glad you asked. Look at this right here. This is from LendingTree. And of course, I will link to all my sources in the box. Students and parents borrowed an estimated $94.7 billion in the 2021-2022 academic year. So you're talking about almost as much as what was forgiven got borrowed in 1 year. If you take that same number and make it go for Biden's entire administration, more debt has been accumulated than has been forgiven, much more. So what are we really doing? Because I thought that he was going to try to cancel the student loan debt, right? I thought everybody had the student loan debt wiped away. I didn't think that, but I thought that that's what they were trying to allude to. Biden was saying that he wanted to cancel like 400 and something billion of student loan debt. That's still very short. Again, you're talking about 1.74 trillion, 400, that would have brought it down to about 1.34 or 1.3. You still over $1 trillion of student loan debt and counting. And the cost to go to school is not going down at all. That's still going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. So what's really happening? Now, before I go any further, let's get to a news clip right here from ABC News. They're going to get into the details of the situation, who's eligible for it and what program you got to be enrolled in. Then we're going to get to Biden kind of gloating about it. And if you want to see anything I'm talking about right here, links as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Now to President Biden's efforts to forgive student loans. This morning, more than 150,000 borrowers will get debt relief as part of the next phase of the president's plan. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is here in the studio with us and has the details. Good morning to you, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, starting this morning, 153,000 borrowers will be receiving an email from President Biden telling them their debts have been forgiven, wiping clean a total of $1.2 billion in loans. Now, to qualify, you must be enrolled in the president's signature repayment plan and have a low original balance, less than $12,000, and have been making payments for at least 10 years.
Let's pause for a minute. Now, do you see this? So your original balance, meaning the money that you took out from the beginning, not even what you may have paid it down to, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that's kind of confusing. Original balance, does that mean when you enrolled into the SAVE plan, or does that mean the money you loaned out? Either way it goes, if you're in a SAVE plan, what that means is if you're making monthly payments, you're not going to accumulate a higher balance. You're not going to create a higher balance due to unpaid interest. Okay, that's kind of what's going on. And you had to have been paying for 10 years. So let's just say the balance is $12,000. You paid it down to $12,000. You got into the SAVE plan and you've been paying for the past 10 years. How much are you really going to be paying every month? Not that much. Not that much. And you don't owe that much. $12,000 and then 10 years. So if you're a recent college graduate and you're struggling to pay these crazy student loan debt payments, $500, $700, oh well, you just pretty much out of luck. You're out back, as the cool kids say, back in Virginia. So this is not going to help a lot of people. But hey, at least you could say you did something for some people, right?
Now, if you meet the criteria, your loans will be forgiven in the coming days. Millions of Americans are enrolled in this repayment plan, and this is just the first tranche. So anyone who enrolls now and meets the criteria going forward will also see this relief. With this latest round, the Biden administration has now approved almost $138 billion in debt relief for 3.9 million people. This is something the president is eager to tout, especially after his initial plan was struck down by the Supreme Court last year. Guys, Biden is well aware voters are frustrated, and he wants to show he's making good.
So basically, we got election time coming up, and I got to do a thing that makes it look like I'm making progress, although I'm not necessarily doing so. And of course, they had to go ahead and have this guy, get trotted out there and talk about what he's doing. Let's watch this over on C-SPAN.
Early in my term, I announced a major plan to provide millions of working families with debt relief for their college student debt. Tens of millions of people in debt were literally about to be canceled, their debts. But my MAGA Republican friends in the Congress, elected officials, and special interests stepped in and sued us. And the Supreme Court blocked it. But that didn't stop me. I announced we were going to pursue alternative paths for student debt relief for as many borrowers as possible. And that's the effort that's been underway the last 2 years. I fixed what's called the SAVE plan. It existed, but I fixed it to make it the most affordable repayment plan ever. Before I took office, student borrowers had to pay 10% of their discretionary income on a monthly basis. If they didn't have enough to do that, they were able to not have to pay that month. But
this guy is so old, it's crazy. It's like watching an animated fossil. And when I say animated, I use that word just because I have no other word to use.
The interest continued. A lot of people don't have the means to do that, though. Under my SAVE plan, we're cutting in half to 5% the what undergraduate borrowers have to pay after their living expenses are accounted for. That means no one with an undergraduate loan, whether it's a community college or a four-year college, will have to pay more than 5% of their discretionary income to repay those loans starting in July.
There's more here, but we got the gist of it. He's just trying to say, well, my SAVE plan is saving people money, and we got past those pesky MAGA Republicans to actually get some student loan debt relief passed. But as I close, I want to say this. Even under his original plan, they were still only going to cancel $450 or so billion out of the $1.74 trillion. It was not really going to be that much. And of course, it was never going to happen. He knew it wasn't going to happen. We knew it wasn't going to happen. A lot of normies just kind of heard it and thought that it would be a good thing because it's a lot of money they're paying every month on the student loan debt. and they got hopeful. So they said, okay, I vote for this guy and hopefully it works. And of course, it was not going to work from the very beginning. It was a campaign promise and it was empty. And here we are today talking about $1 billion. Meanwhile, how much do we send to Ukraine every couple of weeks? This guy gets an allowance from the United States of about $10, $20 billion every 3 to 4 months. So, or more than that, might even be 100, whatever kind of money they want, they got. Israel, Taiwan, Ukraine, whatever they want, they got. But you, the taxpayer, no. And you know what? As I close, I want to say this. They were never going to cancel it because you're talking about a government-backed debt. They're not going to cancel it because that's a way to subjugate you if they need to keep you in line and to make you do certain things like, I don't know, vote for a guy that says he's going to cancel the debt, although there's no plans of doing it. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what Joe Biden has done? 1.2 billion in debt, 138 billion from the time he came into office until right now, although the actual bubble is 1.74 trillion and counting, to the tune of nearly 100 billion every year of new debt. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This is always a thing that was never going to happen. Many of us knew it. A lot of normies, they just kind of fell for it. But now you're seeing the reality of it. Don't get fooled by the headlines. Look into it for real and understand what's happening. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.